Girlfriend said I'm a loser for taking CS seriously. I was happy after my EC League match today, and my girlfriend said congrats, but that it's kind of a loser stuff to take a video game so seriously. I didn't really see it like that. I only play 10 hours per week, so I didn't think I could be a loser. My team is one BO3 away from reaching EC Advanced. I'm proud of us, but I guess since it's still in the amateur level, it's not so impressive. It's just a hobby now. How to stop people thinking you were a loser for taking the game seriously. When you win major, should I break up with her? And Ludwig, really love Ludwig's opinions and takes on things. I think he's a really thoughtful person. In college, I became obsessed with Smash. I wanted to go to tournaments, commentate games, and make videos about it. My girlfriend at the time thought it was lame as hell, and we broke up shortly after. There's a beauty in dedicating a portion of your life to a delusional dream, but you need people in your life who will support you. I thought this was great. Does playing video games make you a loser? If you're dating someone who thinks playing video games makes you a loser, should you break up with them? And there's this thing about delusional dreams. Should you have dreams? Should you have delusional dreams? What's the difference between a dream and a delusional dream? I love like all of the things that this touches. So first, let's start with this concept of loser. Does playing a video game make you a loser? My answer is it depends. How do you know when it's a problem? So here's my take on it. If playing video games prevents you from doing the things that you should be doing, kind of makes you a loser. Like that's kind of my like general, yardstick to measure that. I think video games are a perfectly acceptable hobby, recreation, or career. Should you break up with someone who thinks that you playing video games makes you a man-child, makes you a loser? And I would also say, sort of. So it's not that you have to break up with them, but I want y'all to understand what kind of person this is. So when someone looks at a behavior that you do, looks at one attribute of your life, and makes a broad-scale judgment based on that attribute. The question that you want to ask yourself is, do you want someone who judges you based on their conditioning, or do you want someone who judges you based on their experience with you? And generally speaking, I think if you are in a relationship with someone who judges you based on the conditioning of the world, that is going to be a suboptimal relationship. It can be very harmonious and works for people. Sometimes it's mutual. I'm going to judge you for this. You're going to judge me for this. We're both conditioned. We like it. That can actually work. Another good example of this is like, if you refuse to date someone because they don't have a physical object, like an iPhone, right? I've seen these cases of like, if like I refuse to date a guy or girl who does not have an iPhone, which is like, fine. It's your prerogative to date who you want. My point is, what does that say about them? And if your answer is anything beyond they don't have an iPhone, that is technically wrong, right? If you say, oh, that means that they're not keeping up with the time, like you can't make that generalization. What are the associations of owning an iPhone? I want to date someone who's a doctor. And like, even if you marry someone who wants to date a doctor, that may not end well for you. Is that based on their conditioning, or are they treating you like a human being? Are their responses to you based on the whole plethora of individuality that you are? And that doesn't mean that you have to break up with them, but I want to be clear that like you should be clear about who you are dating and how they look at you. And we all do this, by the way, right? What's my example? I'm such a little bitch when it comes to some of these things. Like like another example is Tesla, right? So like people will make all kinds of implications about someone if they own a Tesla. If they own a Tesla, that means this. So it used to be if you own a Tesla, that means that you're pro-environment and you're liberal and things like that. Now, if you own a Tesla, it means that you're maybe conservative and you like Elon Musk. Like, I'm not even sure what it means, right? People will make like all kinds of judgments on people. I will do this too. I can't think of anything right now. So should you break up with them? Like, I don't think it's that simple. I think it's, are you willing to be in a relationship with someone who takes one aspect of who you are and generalizes it to mean all kinds of other things? Generally speaking, the more they do that, the harder it is for you to have a healthy relationship, because they're not judging you based on you. They're judging attributes of you as proxies to other things. The other thing that I think is really important in a relationship is if you have people who are flexible around their opinion of you, then I think that's really good. So it's fine if they start this way, but if you explain to them, look, I'm taking care of all my stuff. I play for 10 hours a week. Like, you waste 10 hours plus a week browsing short form content, I don't really think it's that different, right? And if they kind of push back on that, or they're not willing to be flexible on that, then I think it's clear. The main thing you need to understand is who you're getting into a relationship with, because if they're rigid around this, they're likely to be rigid around other things. And I think probably one of the best indicators of long-term success in a relationship is flexibility around your beliefs. Doesn't mean that you can't have any, doesn't mean that you need to compromise them all, but what is your capacity to change? Loneliness is at an all-time high. Sexlessness is at an all-time high. Relationships are probably in the worst state they've ever been in the history of humanity. And that's why I made Dr. K's Guide to Love, Sex, and Relationships. Let's talk about who you should actually date. Falling in love is sometimes one of the biggest mistakes that you can make. You know, I started to do a lot of research about how to have really good sex. Visit HealthyGamerGG/guide to learn more. Good luck out there, motherfuckers. Y'all are gonna need it. My instinct is that the number one reason why people are not willing to commit to a relationship is because they perceive a lack of ability to change in their partner. So if someone demonstrates that they're not capable of change, then what you marry is what you get. And then you can't marry them until they are what you need and what you want. So I want y'all to think about this, right? So it's like, if you are in a relationship with someone who is willing to adapt to circumstances, then they don't need to be perfect now. They will change over time. And so willingness to change for the sake of your relationship, I think, is one of the strongest positive indicators of who to have a healthy relationship with. And the really scary thing is this runs contrary to a lot of what social media will tell us. Social media will tell us don't compromise for another fucking human being, especially not a romantic partner. If you want to do this, you do it. If you want to play video games for 40 hours a day, who cares if you have a newborn at home? You speak your truth. If you want to move to New York City when you've got a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old at home to pursue your acting career because in middle age, when you gave up your career and you had 2 kids, if this is speaking your truth and finding your truth and going on your soul journey, you go for it. How dare you let your husband restrain you? Oh my God, everything is so patriarchal. Right? We're getting fed this. If a bitch don't do X, Y, Z, then you dump her and you move on. Here's how you find women that are malleable. Here's how you manipulate women so that you never have to change. Toxic examples all over the place. So should you break up with them? I don't know. That's for you to decide. But be clear about their rigidity. Be clear about what's going on, how they perceive you, how they judge you. And then there's this issue of delusional dreams, which I'm a huge fan of. So first thing is, what's the difference between a delusional dream and a dream? Capability, right? So there are a lot of dreams that I think are delusional that I think you should absolutely pursue, but get better to the point where they're no longer delusional. Don't give them up because they're delusional. Run towards them, not away from them. A lot of people will tell you, oh, this is unachievable. Don't do it. Terrible idea. I think you should go for it. And pursuing delusional dreams is one of the best things that you can do. Now, sometimes it's really dumb, right? Sometimes they're truly impossible. So if your dream is to I don't even know what, go to Saturn, maybe that's delusional. But even then, it's not clear to me that you shouldn't pursue it. The pursuit of delusional dreams is what's responsible for the advancement of humanity. Humanity advances because one person looked at something that had been impossible and said, I'm going to do that thing, even though it's impossible. And then they worked towards that thing. They may not have done that thing, but then someone else came along. And then at some point, we started continually doing the impossible. My favorite example of this is transplant medicine. Some insane doctor was like, oh my God, this heart ain't working anymore. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut out a heart from this other creature, and I'm going to stick it in this creature. And I'm going to hook up all the tubes, and I'm going to cross my fingers. How insane is that? We're going to remove a body part from another person. People are trying head transplants, by the way. I don't know if you guys know this. Trying just full transplant of the neck and the brain and the head onto a body, which is wild. It's then are you transplanting the whole body or are you transplanting the head? But I think oftentimes we underestimate the value from pursuing a delusional dream. It's not about accomplishing the dream necessarily, right? So I had dreams to become an enlightened human being, and I was going to chase enlightenment. So I strove to become a monk. That ended terribly. One day I got laid, game over. Am I mad or upset that I pursued that dream? Hell nah. I don't know if I agree that the journey is more important than the destination, But man, we grossly underestimate the value of the journey. And Ludwig became obsessed with Smash and he tried to make it work, didn't really work. But there is no doubt in my mind that in the pursuit of that dream, he learned many of the things that make him an exceptional content creator today. The Smash community is filled with love and passion, and arguably a game maker who is like not even supportive and actually anti-community in a lot of ways. So like the grit and resilience that that community needs to thrive, they really pull things together with duct tape and thread. It's amazing. Such a tight-knit community. I still remember interviewing Bobby Scar because I wasn't too familiar with Smash community. Now I'm getting into Smash because I play with my kids, which is great. Actually, cool milestone. About a year ago, I could 1v2 them and kind of dumpster them. I tried 1v2ing them like 2 or 3 days ago and just got absolutely edge guarded out of my mind. Like one of them would attack me, right? And I would hit and we'd trade and I kind of get knocked off. And then the other one, like a fucking wolf, would be just waiting to pounce. And the problem with, like, I don't know if this is possible. I'm really curious about this, but if you're really good at Smash and you're 1v2, is it possible to escape edge guarding? Because the cooldown of like one person who, like the cooldown seemed to, I would get owned. Like if I got knocked off the ledge once, they would be waiting like hyenas at the edge of a watering hole for me to come out. I got basically, I mean, I think maybe I knocked one of them out once, but once I hit the edge, it's like game over. So I think this is where we underestimate the value of a failed dream. So you should go for it. I think it's great. You need people in life who will support you. I think that's absolutely true. I think the trickiest thing here is understanding when someone does not want you to pursue your dreams, but is supportive. So just because you want someone who will support you does not mean that they need to be in favor of your dreams, right? And this, I think, is also another like black and white kind of thing. Oh my God, if this person does not support my dreams, I want to do this thing, my partner is not supportive, fuck them. And this, I think, comes down to one word, which is enough. I think the right way to do this as a partner is to give them a fair shot. Support them, encourage them, let them go for it. And also, at some point, I think it's okay to say enough. Hey, you've been trying to go pro in Smash for 8 years. There's no income there. Enough, man. Like, move on. Find something else, right? And I think that's what's really hard is you can have a partner who is supportive of you without being supportive of your behaviors. And then I think if you're in the position of being that partner, the scariest thing is I don't want to give you all license to say, oh my God, I'm so tired of this thing. Enough is enough. It's not about how you feel. If you're frustrated by it, that's not the right compass. That's not being a supportive partner. It's looking at them. What is happening to their efforts? Are their efforts being squandered? Are they sweating day and night to get nothing? Is their life better off if they separate, if they decide to move on from this thing, right? A supportive partner thinks about you, not themselves, not their own frustration. So if I've got a young kid at home, oddly enough, the thing to think about, I think this is different because there's a child's needs that trump, in my opinion, the parents' needs. That's an important distinction. But I still think like the right attitude is, sure, this is what's important for the kid, but also like you playing 40 hours of WoW a week is not actually as good for you in life as you spending 40 hours a week with your kid. And then there's some debate over that, I think, which is fair, right? So how many hours is okay? If you have a parent who gets to relax some, or they a better parent when they spend time with their kids, there's a lot of nuance and detail there. But I would strongly encourage y'all. I mean, this too was like sort of a dream, except it really wasn't. It was not like something I set out to do. Last thing to explain, and also to give y'all a tip. If you do have a delusional dream, if it requires telling other people, you should tell other people. But if it doesn't require telling other people, keep it secret. I'm going to give y'all a psychological, cognitive, and scientific reason, and I'm going to give y'all a spiritual reason. Freud made an interesting discovery. Words are a substitute for action. If a patient has homicidal ideation, sharing that with a therapist usually reduces their homicidal ideation. Talking about things helps you remove some of them from you, the drive for it. We use that in therapy all the time. Second bit about this is that there are people who talk about what they're going to do and people who do things. Sometimes they're talkers and sometimes they're doers. Sometimes there's both. It's not mutually exclusive. But there is evidence that speaking about something activates your reward circuitry in some small way. And then we get into a problem, which is what we're rewarding is speaking about something. And then the behavior that we are reinforcing is speaking about something instead of doing the actual thing. The other thing from a spiritual perspective is when something gets externalized, it is no longer within you. Also true of things like trauma. So when we have traumatic thoughts, feelings, memories in here, when we vent the trauma, it is no longer in here. When it stays in here, it compounds. So I talk about this, I think, in Dr. K's Guide to Meditation. But one of the key things is this is why we keep mantras secret. The more secret your mantra is, if you don't share it with anyone, the power of it compounds. So if you have a delusional dream, I'd say be hungry for it. Chase it. Work on your capabilities so that it is no longer delusional. And in the words of Gandalf, keep it secret, keep it safe.